Keyword research is still a fundamental part of any SEO strategy, but what if you could do it faster? Like, I feel like I have superpowers fast. Well, you can with Semrush's MCP paired with Claude Code. I'm Chris, and I'm about to show you a 4-step framework that'll impress your clients or your boss with a new, faster way to do keyword research. Let's jump into Claude Code and I'll show you how it works. First, you need to set up the MCP connection with whichever AI tool you're going to use. I'm going to use Claude Code for this video, but you can also do this within the likes of ChatGPT as well. But I will link to the instructions for setting up the Semrush MCP in the description below, so it doesn't really matter what tool you're using, the instructions will be there. If you've never used Claude Code before, I'll also leave documentation for setting up that in the description, but it is fairly straightforward. So I'm going to show you how I use Claude Code within the desktop app rather than within the terminal or command line interface, because it is just the most visually appealing and probably the most familiar for most of you, because it's very much just like the standard chatbot experience, but way more powerful. But whether you use the terminal or the desktop app, everything I cover in this video, you'll be able to do across both methods. So I've started a new session and I'm going to add the Semrush MCP if I haven't already. I already have it here, but to add it, if you've never used it before, just click this plus button down here, go to connectors. You can see I've got Semrush here. You just click manage connectors and it will open up a screen like this, and you'll just hit this plus button up here, browse connectors, and then you can just use the search bar to search for Semrush, and it'll come up, or you can even add it as a custom connector if you want. You can access the Semrush MCP if you have any Semrush 1 or SEO Classic subscription, and if you don't have one yet, click the link in the description to start a free trial today. So we want to set up a folder, which is a bit like a project if you've ever used Claude before. So what we're going to do is we're just going to tell Claude to set up the folder structure for us and where we want things to be saved. I'm just going to set up a new folder on my desktop. I'm going to call it Claude Code Keyword Research. You can call it the exact same thing, or you can call it whatever you want. This is going to be like our master project folder, and this is where everything will be stored, and this is what Claude will access to perform the tasks that we're going to get it to perform with the Semrush MCP. Once you've set up your Claude Code Keyword Research folder, you can move on to the main first step of this workflow, and that is going to be to add context about your business so that Claude Code can conduct keyword research with all of that context in mind. Now, I'm going to use an MD file to do this, and this is just a markdown file that gives Claude Code, or whichever tool you're using, an easy way to reference information within this chat. You can think of it as a brief about your business that you're giving to the AI tool so that it can conduct better keyword research on your behalf. So the kind of context that we're going to give is designed to allow us to really leverage the real power of using an LLM to conduct keyword research for us. So we can give it a lot of context about our brand, our goals, the types of content that we want to produce and that we already have on the site, the active channels that we want to use or that we already use, whether we only use SEO or whether we're also looking for assistance with social media or paid media, the resource limitations that we may have, whether that's time, money, or people. And finally, we can give it context on our existing pages, either through something like a sitemap or by just uploading a list of titles of blog posts and product pages, that kind of thing. This context will help frame the keywords that the tool finds using the MCP. So, for example, it means that you won't get a list of keywords that require original research to really rank for if you don't have the staff or resources to produce that original research. And likewise, you won't get a massive list of informational keywords if you tell the tool that your focus is on bottom of funnel keywords. The goal here is to basically not end up with lots of keywords that you have to manually prioritize later. We let the AI tool perform a lot of the prioritization and filtering that would otherwise require quite a lot of manual effort. So I'm going to tell Claude Code to create the keyword research MD file. I'm going to upload some files that I have already about my fictional business, Groundwork Nutrition, and then I will let it run and it will create the MD file, and then I'll show you what that looks like. So this is what the MD file for my fictional brand, Groundwork Nutrition, contains. You can see it gives a brief overview, some context about the brand, and various bits of information about positioning, the priorities of our content. So we want to create product-led informational blog posts, comparison posts, ingredient deep dives, and training and recovery guides. So all of this context is going to be used by the LLM whenever it is performing the keyword research to basically best match up the keywords that it finds with what you want your business to actually create content about. The more context you give at this stage, the better. You can see then further down, I have information about an upcoming product launch, and then some information about competitors. So the next step is to actually start conducting keyword research. So first, I'll show you how to use the MCP for general keyword research. So this is super powerful if you have a seed term in mind and you just want to find a bunch of related terms, or if you're starting a new campaign or creating a new content cluster and you need to find topic ideas and you want to be able to do it in a way that is straightforward and has prioritization and filtering built in for you, ready to go. So for this example, I'm going to use the seed keyword of recovery supplement, since that is relevant to this fictional upcoming product launch of Rest and Recover. So I'm going to apply some filters for Claude Code to apply, just to streamline the keyword list that it returns to me and to make sure that I get keywords that suit my goals. So first of all, I'm going to ask for keywords that have a monthly search volume of 100 or more, just to make sure that there is some search demand for it. I'm not going to necessarily prioritize these based on search volume alone, because that isn't the only metric that matters. So I'm going to specify a word count of 3 or more, just because I don't really want to target any 1 or 2 word keywords that are basically going to be seed keywords on their own in most cases. Now, I could specify a longer word count here if I wanted to choose keywords that are on the longer tail side of things, because these could be more likely to correspond to the kind of prompts that people might be entering into AI tools, and this could help you create content targeting AI visibility alongside search visibility more explicitly. So if you're going to do that, I would recommend a word count of, say, 8 words or more, but just know that this isn't going to only return AI prompts. You will still have to do some filtering there, but it can be a good way to find keywords that are more likely to be typed into AI tools. I'll also apply a keyword difficulty of anything less than 50, because it's going to be a fairly new topic cluster on the site for a new product launch, and so I don't want to target any ultra competitive keywords quite yet. This should allow you to get a pretty good start for any keyword research campaign. The final tip I will give is to provide the LLM with a set number of keywords that you want it to find. So if you've ever used Semrush, and in particular the keyword magic tool, you will type in a seed keyword and you might get thousands of keywords back as potential options for you to target. Now, that's really good for getting loads of keyword ideas, but when you're using an LLM, it has to then go through them, and that is going to quickly eat into both your API units on the Semrush side and your tokens within whatever tool you're using. So you probably want to specify that you're only looking for a shortlist. You can always ramp this up later, but you can't get your API units and tokens back, so it's best to start small and then work your way up from there. And finally, I've added the line at the end asking Claude Code to save it as a CSV, because we will come back to that later. So I'll hit run and then I'll come back whenever it has my output. So while this is running, something really interesting has happened that really illustrates the power of using a tool like this for keyword research. Now, it said it got 12 keywords from the full search. That's not a whole lot. So it said the related/questions report returned nothing for the UK on that seed. Not that useful. So you can see it will now run a phrase full search on the product's core ingredient angles, including, and then it lists out these different ingredients to get it to 25. So it has only been able to do that because in the MD file, where we have this information about the upcoming product launch, we have some key ingredients listed. So the tool has basically realized that it's not going to find enough keywords that I requested, so it has gone back to the MD file, looked at the specific ingredients of the upcoming product, and is now trying to find keywords related to them. That is really cool, and it's the kind of thing that you would have to do manually or have people on your team doing for you, and to be able to do that at the click of a button with all of this context is just fantastic. So when you're done, Claude Code will give you the output, and it's worth just jumping in and checking to make sure it all looks okay, and then we can add to this list in the next step. So here's the output that I got, just to give you an example. You can see it has given me keywords along with search volumes, keyword difficulties, search intent, and even funnel stage, which I didn't ask for, but that's handy. Priority, that's just per the tool's own thinking, so you can adjust that as required. So you can see it is suggesting the products that it's relevant to, and even providing some content angles that we might want to take. Now, you can take these with a pinch of salt. They might not be content angles that you actually want to take, but it could be a useful starting point. You can see how this would match up to the specific keyword that it's giving you. So there's even an existing coverage column here. Now, this is going to be empty for most of these, but you can see that it has pulled this from the list of posts that I uploaded to add to the MD file, along with these, and these are related pieces of content. So you can see this related post that we have on the site, how to increase deep sleep naturally, is relevant to the keyword deep sleep supplement. That makes sense to me. So again, having the LLM at your disposal for this kind of keyword research really fleshes out your keyword list. Instead of just having search volume, keyword difficulty scores and that kind of thing, you get product relevance, content angles, and even extra notes about high volume opportunities, whether it has identical intent to other terms that you're maybe already targeting or that you could target within the same post. There's just so much here. So all of this context that you have fed in has then resulted in you getting a lot more context out as a result. And I just find that to be not only a faster way of doing keyword research, but a more powerful way. So the next step is going to be to perform a keyword gap analysis. A keyword gap analysis is one of the most powerful ways to understand what your rivals are visible for that you're not, and then how you can fill that gap with your own content. Semrush allows you to perform keyword gap analysis very easily within the tool, and there are lots of handy filters that you can apply. And the beauty of using something like Claude Code is that you can ask the tool to apply these filters in plain English, and this has a couple of benefits. So first, we can leverage the context that we gave in step 1. So all of that context about goals and brand and products we have will all be used in this step. And secondly, being able to apply these filters cuts down on your token usage within the AI tool itself, so you don't run out of tokens within Claude or ChatGPT, whichever tool you're using, but also importantly, it means you don't burn through your API units within Semrush either. So I'm going to ask Claude to perform a keyword gap analysis based on the competitors that I specified that it has in the MD file, and I'm going to ask it to find the top 25 keywords that any of them rank for that I don't. And I'm also going to specify that it should focus on keywords that multiple competitors rank for that I don't. Because if multiple rivals are ranking for these keywords, that suggests it's probably a relevant keyword to my own brand that I should also be ranking for. I'm also going to specify to add those keywords to the previous list, and I'll run this and come back whenever it's finished. So here's that output. You can see the keyword list has now grown, and now we're going to start prioritizing it in the final step. So in this step, I'm going to give you a pre-built prompt that you can just paste into Claude Code to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you when it comes to prioritizing your keywords. Now you can tweak the prompt any way you want, you can add your own prompt, but I think the quickest way for you to really get the benefits from this is to just paste something in that we've created for you. So you can download that in the description below. This prompt will build the prioritized CSV file with all the keywords that it's found, and it will be sorted into various buckets so that you can understand exactly what you need to do with each keyword, rather than just having a big list of keywords that you then have to work out what to do with and what the best action is to take for each one. So I've pasted in the prompt here, and in it, I've asked Claude Code to sort the keywords into new content and updates to existing content. And the way it can do this is because in step 1, we gave it loads of context about our existing content. So we gave it access to all of our past posts and pages, so it knows everything that we have already created. It can then use its reasoning capabilities to decide whether a keyword matches an existing page well enough to be optimized for, or whether it needs a new page entirely. Now, I know I've said this a few times already in this video for different aspects of this workflow, but this really is one of the most powerful ways to use an LLM for keyword research, because this is a step that you would have had to do manually without it. You would have had to understand your entire content library, which just isn't going to be feasible for a lot of people, especially if you have 500 plus posts or pages, or it's a new website for you, or if you've just joined the team and you don't have their entire sitemap memorized yet. And so without this, you would probably need to be either searching their website manually or looking at the sitemap or scrolling through a spreadsheet of posts. And I've done this myself a lot for various different projects, and it is just not very efficient. So this is a much faster way to do it. Now, obviously this is somewhat limited. The LLM can't efficiently access all of your content, especially if you have thousands of pages. But for most cases, a list of URLs, or even better, a list of titles, will give the LLM enough context to understand what most of your pages are about, and then it will be able to do a reasonable job of matching up the keywords to the specific pages that you could optimize for that keyword. Now, if you don't have any existing content because you're setting up a new website, or you're running a new campaign, or creating a new topic cluster, whatever it may be, you can still benefit from the next layer of prioritization, because the prompt asks Claude to cluster the topics and contain insights and comments to help you prioritize those topics themselves. For example, maybe the topic is based on filling a specific keyword gap against a top rival that might be a high priority. Or maybe it's hyper relevant to a specific product that you said you're about to launch and that you would like to prioritize over other topics. So again, you can get this prompt from the description below. I'm just going to run it and then I'm going to show you the finished output. So here's the finished output. You can see that it has organized this into 2 different CSV files, and that it is organized by new and existing content and the different buckets within there. So now it's just a case of downloading these and using them to inform my content strategy. Now, you can obviously go through the keyword list and filter it and refine it further to suit your needs. And you can also give Claude Code feedback and ask it to rerun parts of the process or recluster specific pages. And it will do this since, once again, it has all the context and files in one place. And it can just pull from Semrush again if you want it to find more keywords. Claude Code is one of our team's favorite AI tools to use. And so we'll have more videos in the future of how you can get the most out of it for your own content, SEO, and marketing tasks. So be sure to subscribe to the channel to join a community of marketers that are looking to benefit from weekly videos about all things improving your brand's visibility in search and AI. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.